Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week: Ice Cream Man, issue number 39 from Image Comics, written by W. Maxwell Prince, with artwork by Martin Morazzo, Chris O'Halloran on the coloring, good old Neon on the lettering. I love this book, and it's been a while since we've had the last issue, but like always, totally worth the wait. Another phenomenal issue of Ice Cream Man that is a little bit sad. Well, no, it's just all the way sad. This is about a family in a car wreck. A car wreck that kills them. But the whole issue is about decompression. Decompressed storytelling in comic books, stretching a moment out, for instance, but also the decompression of memory. The decompression of the past, present, and the future. When it's all kind of one thing and it goes back and forward. That seems a little crazy, but that's what this book is about. I love it. The idea to be able to take something like decompressed storytelling in comic books and equate that with a family dying in a car accident, and I'm not even kidding, that's exactly what it is. A car accident, and the family are like reliving their memories, so it's got that like bittersweet sense of humanity, of life, where it's got a little bit of hope, it's got a little bit of tragedy. The whole thing is a tragedy, but at the same time, it's not, but it is. That's Ice Cream Man. Ice Cream Man is able to explore the complexities of human emotion, human existence, reality itself. And this is something that writer W. Maxwell Prince does with a very sound philosophical basis, but with a little bit of attitude. And what I mean by that is just a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek matter, like perspective at sometimes. It's an unsettling book. It's an unnerving book, but it's an enjoyable book. It's an innovative book. It's absolutely fantastic. Ice Cream Man is the best comic book ongoing series, period, and has been for a long time now. And I've been praising this book for so long, and I know a lot of y'all have gotten into this book because of our thoughts here on the channel, or other comic book reviewers, or just people spreading the word of mouth, and now you are spreading the word of mouth, and the cult of the Ice Cream Man has continued to grow and widen. And as the fandom for the book has soared, the innovation and technical level of skill in the book has evolved as well. And it's absolutely stunning. It's astounding. It's amazing. This is the variant cover by Jeremy Allen Love. Or is it Jeffrey? Jeffrey Allen Love. The variant cover, that's the cover of the week. Ice Cream Man, spider tendrils. Tendrils? They're legs. But you know what I'm saying. Absolutely love this book. Cover of the week, pick of the week, but not the smell of the week. Also from Image, we have Monolith, issue number 1, the first part of a 3-issue series that's explaining the origin of the Spawn character Monolith. He's like a big Hulk-like Spawn-type character, and this origin explanation takes place in the future, has reverberations into the past. This is something that they're doing in some of these Spawn books lately, but it was alright. Valerio Giangiadorno, the artwork is fine. Artwork is solid. The story is okay too, and it's got like the Omega Spawn in it and all that. But like it was a bit confusing, maybe a little bit too timey-wimey. I can't say that word. It's a little bit too timey-wimey, maybe for its own good. It doesn't really come across as a clear story, and it was really hard to kind of sink my teeth into it, so I thought Monolith was just alright. Then we got Rat City, issue number 2. This is like Spawn 2099 in a way. It's a dude in the future after the necroplasmic explosion that Spawn did in issue 350. It's reverberated through the past and the future, and in the future there's this dude. He's like an army vet. He's got robot legs, you know, he's got prosthetic legs that are like highly technological with nanites and stuff. They've been infected by this wave of necroplasmic energy from the past into the future, and now this person is being activated as a Spawn. I didn't really like the first issue. I thought it was just kind of but the second issue actually kind of pulled it together just a little bit, and it was more of an enjoyable experience. You get more into who this character is, this new iteration of Future Spawn, Spawn 2099, if you will. and there's a little bit of a tragic thing that's going on that's kind of like putting him onto this road of spawndom. So I didn't really like issue number 1, but I did like issue number 2. Then we got Spawn 353 here. It's a decent issue of Spawn. It's dealing with the vampire menace. Spawn's kind of tying up those loose ends. He doesn't have his powers anymore after the big explosion from Spawn 350, so I like seeing Al like just kind of like a back to basics approach with things, just being like all badass with his guns and his military skill and all that. So I do like that. Some gnarly artwork from Brett Booth and a really solid ending that's tying everything together into what the new gist of Spawn's universe is, whether it's, you know, King Spawn, or whether it's Spawn, or whether it's the Scorch. They're all heading in the same direction, and this issue of Spawn kind of helps link it into that fold a little bit better. But that being said, it's nice that these Spawn books are still $2.99 and cardstock covers, but bruh, Todd, really, 3 in 1 week? Let's slow up. Let's just slow up a little bit. Also from Image, we got Redcoat issue number 2 from Ghost Machine, written by Jeff Johns with artwork by Brian Hitch. I know a lot of people really liked issue number 1 of this. I wasn't really completely sold on it. It's a character that's supposed to be kind of like a buffoonish character. He's a little bit of a rogue. He's supposed to be loud. He's lazy. He's a coward, and that kind of character can be fun, but I just don't know if Jeff Johns has kind of got the handle on the comedy aspect of this book yet. Plus, Einstein's in here, a young Einstein, and way over the top with the dialogue on his accent, his German accent, so that kind of was obnoxious to me. I did like the vibe of the story. There's some big revelations here. We're trying to build into why Redcoat is an immortal and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't fully click for me like Geiger does, or Rook Exodus, or Junkyard Joe. It's just not quite working for me, but still I'm intrigued by all of the Ghost Machine stuff, so I'll keep reading it. It just feels a little clunky, and I don't feel like Jeff Johns has kind of gotten a hold of the character's comedic traits. So I thought it was just all right. Then we got Napalm Lullaby issue number 3. This issue is all right. Like issue 1 and 2, I got to read those before issue 1 even released. So I got to read 1 and 2 back to back, and then I got to read them again. I think that helped out. Sometimes with Rick Remender books, I'll be really into it, and then I just kind of fall out of it. But when I go back and read it all complete, I really get into it, right? Very few Rick Remender books keeps me intrigued issue to issue. Sacrificers is doing that right now. And unfortunately, Napalm Lullaby is not quite Sacrificers. It's about this family who's going to the capital of this kingdom. It's like a theocracy, and there's an alien god that's ruling everything, and they're trying to go there to kill this god. And the story's all right, it's decent, it's okay, but it just feels like there's some magic missing. And I guess the magic missing is how intensely awesome the Sacrificers is, but it is unfair to compare this to the Sacrificers, 2 completely different books, though both kind of Rick Remender sharing his thoughts about religion and God and faith and stuff like that, so I don't know. And, you know, faith not necessarily always tied in to religion or God. But Napalm Lullaby, issue number 3, it was just aight. Then we got Fish Flies here with issue number 6. Wow, what a great revelatory issue of Fish Flies. Really solid stuff, revealing things from the past in this town that definitely let you know what's actually going on. Why did this dude randomly become this giant fish fly character, this monster? We get away from that. We focus on this mother's story, and she has the past revealed to her in a really cool way. Jeff Lemire did not do all of the artwork here. He did some of it, but Sean Kuru did the majority of the art, basically the past tale. I really loved it. I thought the art was great. I love the monochromatic nature of the coloring. I really like the pace of it, the setting of it. A very melancholy story, but very appropriate, and it builds up to an ending where you're like, let's go. We got 1 issue left of this. I thought it would go on for a little bit longer, but apparently it's about to be wrapping up. Then we've got something epic here with issue number 10. Szymon Kudranski continuing to just dive into brilliant ideas about imagination and creativity. And I liked the first arc of this a lot, but I am loving the second arc. It's got a whole new vibe, a whole new momentum, a whole new spin to it. It's still an introspective book, but it's a little bit more building out this world of the imagination, the world of these epics. We're being introduced to new concepts, new ideas. They are chasing down the murderer of Sherlock Holmes, possibly the murderer of Zeus. Somebody's going through killing all of these imaginary characters, and I love the idea that the imagination and these characters that exist as thought forms or fictional characters, Szymon Kudranski is treating them as very real because they are real, right? They exist in your head. They have lives. Like they're like, this sounds weird and meta, but it's true. Like these characters, there is a realness to them, and I love the respect that Szymon Kudranski has for story, for creation, for imagination, and for these thought forms. Something epic is truly shaping up to be definitely epic. Here with issue number 10. Loved it. And the artwork, let me show you this one page. Frickin' gnarly, super awesome, and cool. So there you go. Dark Ride is here with issue number 12, the final issue of the Josh Williamson and Andre Bresson book. And it was a nice, satisfying ending. It did feel a little bit rushed. It felt like maybe this book was intended to go just a little bit longer, but it does wrap everything up very nicely. It just kind of does it very quickly, and it's kind of been set up since the last issue. It just rushed right into it. But like I said, there was nothing wrong with the ending. There was nothing wrong with the way everything unfolded and how it ended. It just felt, all right, time to end the book. Right? And so that was the only nitpick, but aside from that, I thought the Dark Ride was a really fun ride all the way through 12 issues. Let's jump over to Marvel. We got Doom, issue number 1. It's actually a one-shot comic, $6.99, lots of pages to it, but written by Jonathan Hickman with artwork by Sanford Green. I loved this book. I love that Addie Granoff cover right there too. This is a story set in the future of the Marvel Universe, or maybe another timeline in the Marvel Universe, where Galactus has just gone crazy. He's torn through all these different planets. He's torn through Earth, and Doom's the only survivor. So it's almost like Doom versus Galactus at the end of the world. And Sanford Green's artwork is absolutely top-notch. It's got texture to it. It's got a frantic ferociousness to it that really helps you feel the stakes and the necessity of this book. Lots of great shots of Galactus, really great Doom dialogue. Jonathan Hickman knows how to write Dr. Doom. In fact, he might be my favorite writer for Victor. Absolutely loved this stuff. I thought it was a really cool comic. Doesn't feel like it's really tied into anything else. Doesn't feel like it's sowing seeds or anything like that, but it definitely just works on its own as a nice one-and-done Dr. Doom story with great artwork, really cool story, and great characterization. So definitely want to check that out. Venom, Separation Anxiety, issue number 1. David Michelini coming back to do another one of his old school approaches to Venom stories here in the pages of Marvel Comics. He did this under the umbrella of Lethal Protector. Now they're moving into the Separation Anxiety era, but it's not really focused so much on the Separation Anxiety story from back in the day. Y'all remember that video game? Yeah, that's some cool stuff. But it does lean into 90s Venom going up against the Purple Man, and the Purple Man and Venom have an interesting interaction in this book that's going to lead to what this series is about. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I did enjoy it. And I also really enjoyed Sandoval's artwork, Gerardo Sandoval. His Venom is very much like a 90s, let me find a good Venom page. His Venom is very much like a 90s Ron Lim Venom, and I really do appreciate that. I liked this story. I thought it worked just fine. I thought the art was cool. It had an intensity to it. It's cheesy, it's big, it's dumb, it's fun, it's gigantic moronic splendor, and that's what those Venom comics from the 90s were. So if you want to have that vibe back in your life, check out Venom Separation Anxiety. Really solid cover there, too. We got a Blood Hunt tie-in. It's Blood Hunt, The Amazing Spider-Man, the first of a 3-issue series. This one was not very good. It's really not, man. I didn't like it that much. It's Spider-Man teaming up with Misty Knight and the Lizard to try to find a cure for vampirism that was made by Morbius, but they call him Dr. Mike. Like, Misty and Colleen are way too, like, cheeky here in this book, and it doesn't fit those characters. It's not working for me. Everybody kind of talks the same, and it had this kind of clunky, like, not take itself too seriously approach, which I appreciate in certain comics, but this one just didn't bring the fun. Plus, I thought the artwork was a little bit lackluster, so all in all, this one did not do it for me, and I'm definitely skipping out on that tie-in for the rest of them, right? Then we got Ultimate X-Men issue number 3. Peach Momoko telling a really good and solidly grounded personal story here about the new X-Men in this new Ultimate reality. Now, I know that we could easily just want more of the big revelations of what's going on with the Maker and the whole timeline and Iron Lad and all that stuff. And if that's what you're into, 100% wait for the Ultimates. I've read the first issue. You're going to freaking love it, right? But Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, they've been focusing in on those characters, on those books, developing those worlds. That's what's being done here in the pages of Ultimate X-Men. We've been reintroduced to a new iteration of Armor, and in the last issue, we were introduced to a character who has Storm-like powers, but is not Storm, but is inspired and influenced by Storm. Her name is May, and we understand more of her origin and her character here in the pages of issue number 3. Then they also do introduce another character who we're slowly building up into who the Ultimate X-Men are going to be. And it ain't your daddy's X-Men. It ain't your granddaddy's X-Men. It ain't your brother's X-Men. It ain't your sister's X-Men. This is Peach Momoko's X-Men, and I'm all here for it. Really love her artwork, her sense of being able to tell this story at a slow pace, but keep it visually interesting and really, like, add some touches to it that feel like quintessential X-Men storylines, right? I really like the book. I know it's not for everybody, but it's still selling well at my shop. I think Peach Momoko's doing a great job here with Ultimate X-Men. Then we've got Weapon X-Men, issue number 4, the final issue of this series. I thought I would read this first issue and get out of it and be done, right? But man, I have enjoyed this book. It's not super serious. It's not something I'll probably ever reread, but it's not something I regret reading. And it was a very satisfying ending. And I like that this book took the time to kind of explore all these different iterations of Wolverine. Wolverines from across the multiverse team up at the behest of a Phoenix to hunt down Onslaught, who's going around trying to destroy realities, trying to find the Phoenix Force for themselves. I really like this book, though. It had humor, it had drama, it had adventure, it had excitement, action, excitement, adventure. A Jedi may not crave those things, but an X-Men fan does, and we found them in the pages of Weapon X-Men. Let's jump over to DC. And from DC, we have Action Comics 1065, the third part of the House of Brainiac, written by Joshua Williamson. This was a fun issue, really exciting. This is going to be a 6-part story across Superman and Action Comics, and so this is only the third part. And when I was reading it this weekend, I thought, man, let's move this story forward a little bit. Let's get more to the point. But then thinking about where we are in the structure of the story, it actually does make sense, because I'm pretty sure the next issue of Superman is going to be the big deal and a bigger reveal, right? But there are some things that are being put into place and revealed here about Brainiac's plan. Just enough mystery, just enough revelations. It's keeping me excited. This is Superman crossover that has exciting artwork, has a really cool, fun sense of its story, and it's got some great visuals attached to it. Really did like this. Action Comics 1065 was pretty solid, but Green Lantern number 11 was top frickin' notch. Seriously, Jeremy Adams has been killing it in the pages of Green Lantern. Taking it, stripping down, going back to the character of Hal Jordan, rebuilding his world, and now just bringing us right back into some of the GL Corps insanity. The United Planets, they're led by a corrupt individual. The Lanterns, led by Hal, they're going to go stop it, but of course they get in over their heads. The artwork by Hermonico is absolutely stunning. We get bits of the past of Carol and Hal's relationship. We get little bits that we've never seen before that actually work for me. Man, oh frickin' man. Jeremy Adams has been doing a hellaciously awesome job in the pages of Green Lantern. This was the best DC book I read this week, and if you're sleeping on the Hal Jordan Green Lantern book, wake up. Seriously, it's good. Then we got Batman and Robin issue number 9 from Josh Williamson. Another solid issue. We're building up into this whole threat of the Man-Bat. We get a little bit of explanation on why he has taken this more dastardly and villainous tone towards his approach. And it works for me. I really like it. And when Simone DeMeo's on the artwork, it's so freaking beautiful. It's gorgeous. However, most of this issue is done by somebody else, and the artwork just feels rushed, too frantic, and it doesn't fit with the rest of the story. It kind of holds it back just a little bit, though I do like the story. Most of the story is focused on Robin, Damien, and his pseudo kind of girlfriend Flatline in school trying to figure out the mystery is it his former teacher who's the vice principal? Is it Shush? Are they one and the same? So a lot of mysteries are revealed here. Lots of stuff that is interesting, but that art really held it back for me. But Batman and Robin's still an interesting comic book. Then we got Outsiders issue number 7. After the revelations of issue number 6, we get right into the explanation here. A lot of revelatory issues this week. This is a direct sequel to Planetary. I don't think this is going to be as good as Planetary. Most comic books are not. And if you have not read Planetary, once again, let me tell you, it's one of the best comics ever. It's absolutely brilliant and it's amazing. If you want a closer look at it, I did a top-down look at Planetary number 1 a couple of weeks ago, so find that here on the channel. Check it out for yourself. See if you want to dive in. I'll probably continue going through Planetary as the weeks go on. But Outsiders issue number 7 was a great issue. It takes things from it basically puts the end of Planetary and the beginning of the Outsiders, and it builds a bridge between them, and it lets us know exactly how we got from the end of Planetary to where we are here in the pages of the Outsiders. I'm loving the book. I think it's really cool. Some really high concept ideas, some Grant Morrison-y type stuff attached to it, but more so Warren Ellison type things. Outsiders number 7, though, having a lot of fun. If you're a Planetary fan, it's definitely worth checking out. From Boom Studios, we got Uncanny Valley issue number 2, written by Tony Fleece with artwork by David Wachter. I freaking love this book. It's about this kid who finds out that he's part cartoon. His grandfather is basically Yosemite Sam, and there's something going on where people from the cartoon reality are coming into the real reality trying to find this kid, the chosen one or something like that, right? So now his Yosemite Sam grandfather's there to save him and take him on this journey, this adventure, and it's just amazing. It's great. So since the kid is part cartoon, all these little cartoon bits are there. Like when he runs through a wall, it's the shape of him, right? Just like on this cover. When he walks off a cliff, if he doesn't notice, he actually walks on the air. Really cool, clever cartoon language tricks that are put in here by Tony Fleece. And David Wachter on the artwork is top notch. He's able to do the realistic stuff right on top of the cartoon stuff, and it works. Tony Fleece is a big fan of animation, you can tell, and he's playing with animation in the comic book pages here and in books like Feral, and he's doing an excellent job. I loved this second issue, and it builds up to a point where after that last page, I'm like, is that who I think it's going to be? Also, maybe Wile E. Coyote shows up. It's not Wile E. Coyote, but it is. You know what I'm saying? Then we got The Displaced issue number 4. Ed Brisson's doing a really solid job with this book. It's about this whole town that just disappears, right? And then survivors, the people that were on the outskirts of the town, they survived, but people don't remember who they are, and they don't remember them after not looking at them for like a few minutes, right? So they're dealing with the after effects of this, and how are they supposed to survive in a world where nobody remembers them? Nobody notices them. The group has had a fracture in it, right? Some are going a criminal route, others are still trying to figure out what's going on, but this book gets really tragic, kind of sad, but very incredibly nuanced, and just a great, solid pace throughout the entire thing. The Displaced, definitely something you might want to check out. I Heart Skull Crusher, issue number 3. In a world in which there's something called paintball, and you could actually be murdered playing the sport, there's this young woman who idolizes one of the best at the sport. She wants her own team to enter this tournament, so she's got basically the bad news bears of paintball, right? They can't get along, but now everybody's after them, and when they're after them in this kind of game, it's to the death, right? But the book's got a nice, exciting, and exhilarating feel to it. It's got like this manga influence on its artwork and its pacing. It is a little bit wordy, but it never feels bogged down. It's just absolutely a joy to read. It's a book that's not taking itself too seriously, but just serious enough. And it's got some really exciting artwork. I Heart Skull Crusher, issue 3, pretty solid. HeartPiercer, #1, a new one from Dark Horse Comics, written by Rich Douek, with artwork by Gavin Smith. We've had both of those gentlemen here on the channel for conversations. You can totally check those out if you want. But this was a really cool story. It's Rich Douek returning to fantasy. It's about this world. It's about this woman in this fantasy world who has helped her master slay all the magical beings, like all the good, pure magical beings. Like, it starts with her killing the last unicorn, right? It starts very similar to the beginning of Legend, which is a movie that I just watched because we're covering it on PCP Movie Night this upcoming Monday night for Crew's Choice. So check that out, 8 p.m. Central Time. PCP Movie Night, Legend, the director's cut in particular. Anyway, that being said, so she kills the last unicorn. She goes to her master. He's like, "We can rule the earth now." He's like, "Yep." And he just discards her. So now she is on a mission of revenge. And in a world in which she has helped just fall to shit, she is now trying to correct it. It's a story that we've seen before, but not quite in this way. And the artwork by Gavin Smith is top-notch. The storytelling and the pace of it is top-notch. The dialogue works. It doesn't get bogged down. It's not overly verbose. It's just perfectly paced and clean all the way through. HeartPiercer, issue #1. Check that one out. Then we got Sanction, issue #1 from Mad Cave Studios. This is written by Ray Fox with artwork by Antonio Fuso. I do like Antonio's artwork, so I was excited to check this out. I don't usually vibe a lot with Ray Fox's stories, but I did like this one. So it's a story set in Russia in the late 80s, and there's a woman who's found dead, and the police want it to be swept under the rug really quickly, right? They don't care how you do it, just get this done very quickly. But the dude who gets tasked to do it gives it to somebody else. That somebody else is somebody who's notorious for diving too deep into these cases that the government and the police want ended quickly, right? Maybe because they have some involvement. So it's a story that we've seen before, but it was actually laid out in a very interesting way. I enjoyed the approach of this book. There were a couple moments where I did get a little confused. I thought maybe the dialogue got a little bit clunky, but honestly, by the end of it, it ironed itself out, and I'm really excited to come back for issue #2 and see what's going on there. Then we've got a book from Silver Sprocket called My Body Unspooling. This book was wild. This book was wild. It had some really weird, crazy, gnarly artwork, but it's about a person whose body and mind are in a conflict, and they want to remove the mind from the body. And then by the end of it, they realize that they can't exist without one or another. It's really weird, very odd, but really cool. Really cool. I like this a lot. It's from Leo Fox. I'll just read you the back. "My name is Lucille. Me and my body have broken up. Lucille and his body are constantly at odds. Lucille is too cold and resentful for his body, and his body is too warm and too loud for Lucille. It's time to ask God for a divorce." I did really like this. So if you like weird, zany comics that are a little bit more esoteric in nature, a little bit more obscure, a little bit more just freaking wacky and awesome, check that one out. It's good. And also, like a lot of Silver Sprocket books, it gets the smell of the week. Absolutely gorgeous smell. And before we wrap up, I do want to point out that the Universal Monsters Dracula hardcover from Skybound/Image Comics is here this week. There are 2 different covers. There's the Martin Simmons one, which I highly encourage you to get. Then there's another variant cover for it. But this book was awesome. It's not a retelling of the Universal Monsters Dracula, but it is kind of telling the story within the scenes, right? So if you're very familiar with that movie, you're going to see how this all fits and actually helps build up more of this story and have a little bit more nuance added to it. And Martin Simmons' artwork is amazing. And if you look at that trade dress, when the Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives comes out in this form, when the Frankenstein one comes out in this form, it's going to look beautiful. It's a little bit oversized. It's only $25, but it's definitely worth it if you're a Dracula fan, a Martin Simmons fan, a James Tynion fan, or in particular, just a fan of those movies. You definitely need to check this one out. So just wanted you to know that hardcover is out. So to wrap up real quick, My Body Unspooling, weird gonzo, obscure stuff that's really awesome. Sanction was a cool crime fiction set in late 80s Russia. HeartPiercer was a great dark fantasy from Rich Douek and Gavin Smith. I Heart Skull Crusher, exciting artwork with a manga influence. The Displaced, a perfectly paced comic book that adds so many levels of story to it. Uncanny Valley, Tony Fleece, and David Wagner having super fun playing with the idea of like a Roger Rabbit Cool World type thing, but with maybe higher stakes. Then we got Outsiders number 7, building the bridge between Planetary and the Outsiders, letting us know exactly how that went down. Batman and Robin with a solid story, but with a little bit of clunky artwork there. Green Lantern number 11 was awesome. It's all been building up to these moments, and these moments were earned and they worked. Action Comics 1065, the third part of the House of Brainiac. A little bit slow, but there are some movements that are being made to set up for an exciting part 4 in the next issue of Superman. Weapon X-Men was a very enjoyable read. It sucks that it's over, but it's probably for the best because get in, get out, be done. That's how you do it, right? Ultimate X-Men. I'm really liking this slow build into a new world for the X-Men. Ultimate X-Men. Not the X-Men we know, but an X-Men that really works for me. Blood Hunt, Amazing Spider-Man. Did not like that one. Venom, Separation Anxiety. I did like that one. Took me back to the 90s. Doom, one-shot by Hickman and Green. I'm here for it. Best Marvel comic book of the week. Then we got Dark Ride here with issue number 12. Pretty solid ending, though it did feel a little bit rushed. Something epic, wild imagination and respect for story, and beautiful artwork. That's what Simon Kudronsky is bringing there. Fish Flies, a big revelatory issue that sets up, hopefully, what will be a Lemurian epic finale. So there you go. Napalm Lullaby just kind of losing me just a little bit, but I'm still digging it. Redcoat's just not quite working for me, but I'm still intrigued by that character. Spawn, great Brett Booth artwork, really moving the story, connecting it to some of the rest of the Spawn stuff. Rat City, aka Spawn 2099, builds some more momentum in issue number 2 and actually improves upon the first one. Then we have Spawn. Did I read a Spawn? What? I thought, set that down in the wrong spot. I was so confused. I was like, I 2 Spawns? Monolith didn't really quite work for me. I feel like the story was maybe a little bit too complex for its own good, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with it. It's only 3 issues. I want to know more about that character. But cover of the week and pick of the week went to Ice Cream Man 39. Seriously, 5 seconds of a car crash, decompressed across 28 issues. The way that this book, just the way it plays with its levels and its themes, it's just freaking phenomenal. So that's what I read. That's what I dug. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. And thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel and have access to our Patreon exclusive watch party to The Crow. May 22nd, 8 p.m. Central Time. All levels at patreon.com/PCP. So for as little as $1, you can join in and watch along live as we revisit The Crow with Brandon Lee. Anyway, I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop, boom.